Hello, and welcome to BRIT'S Tips. This is my channel. Thank you so much for being here with me, for pressing play. It means so much to me. And today's topic is going to be how to discipline a toddler. So if you're here and you don't know anything about me, for one, my name is Brittany. That's where BRIT'S Tips comes from. And I have my vocation, my whole career has been in early childhood. I have a degree in early childhood education. I've served as an assistant director of a school. I've been a teacher. I was a teacher for years. So today I'm going to be walking you through what I believe are there are four critical aspects and steps to remember when you're addressing and when you're wanting to deal with disciplining a toddler. I believe each one of them to be just as relevant. So I'm going to walk you through them. And by the end of this video, I feel confident that you'll have a different perspective, some skills, some tools in your arsenal as to how you should discipline and how to discipline a toddler. Point number one, know your parenting style. There are four accepted and known parenting styles that all have different long-term outcomes. So I'm going to walk you through what they are. And the reason why I believe it's very relevant to know and understand what kind of parenting style you're currently using is so that if you don't like it, if you observe that you identify with the parenting style that you're not comfortable with or that doesn't yield the long-term results you want for your child, I feel like then you have room to make adjustments where you see fit. Another quick thing, usually it's very common for us to parent the way that we were parented. Usually we interact and handle children in the ways in which we were dealt with. So without further ado, the first parenting style that I'm going to talk to you about is called the authoritarian parent. The authoritarian parent is the one who believes that children should be seen and not heard. They generally go with the premise of it's because they said so. The authoritarian parent is very high on discipline. They believe that children should follow the rules and listen without hesitation. There's generally a strained relationship between an authoritarian parent and child. And it's usually just because it's completely what the parent says. There's not much communication. It's really all rule-based. It's what they say goes, and that's it. The long-term effects of the authoritarian parenting style don't tend to be very positive. Studies show that children that were parented that way tend to have lower self-esteem. They tend to exhibit more aggression and hostility. They tend to not be very confident or, really good at problem solving. And the reason for that is because they're not taught that they're valued by the parent just exclusively setting these rules and standards and expectations and never communicating with them, never explaining why a rule is this or taking the time to really understand them. So long term, the authoritarian parenting style proves to not be beneficial. So guys, the next parenting style is called permissive. So the permissive parent sets but doesn't enforce rules. They're way more lenient. They're more of the child's friend. They don't necessarily set consequences. So the long-term effects of the permissive parenting style aren't really positive either. Self-esteem issues, sadness, they can struggle academically and deal with different behavioral issues as well. This next parenting style is called the uninvolved parent, and it means exactly what it sounds like. The uninvolved parent is not involved. They generally don't know where their child is. They don't know what's going on in the child's life, who the child's friends are. They don't spend much time with them. They don't really get involved in the child's life academically. They don't spend much time going to their sports events. Just in general, they're just not involved. They don't show much presence in the child's life. But of course, the long-term effects for the child are negative when it comes to how the uninvolved parent affects them. There are negative long-term effects of that as well, which involve the child having lower self-esteem, poor school performance. They're known to be less happy, deal with depression, and definitely deal with different behavioral issues. In general, just having a lack of respect for authority. When you raise yourself, that's a part of what could happen. And last but not least, you have the final parenting style, which is called the authoritative parent. The authoritative parent is basically one that's way more diplomatic, right? It's the parent that's very involved in their child's life. They're nurturing, they're supportive, and they're responsive, but they set firm limits, right? They communicate with their child about their feelings, and they allow them to have some say in what's happening in their life. So the authoritative parenting style is credited with being the most healthy for children's long-term success. So it's proven that children that have been parented this way over the long haul just have a higher level of self-esteem, of acclimating to society, of confidence, of problem solving, of expressing themselves. Number 2, understand the developmental stage of your child. Why, you may ask? Because if you don't understand what's normal for your child's age, some of your frustrations and the things that are really bothering you or very difficult for you may be even harder if you don't know or realize that they're on point and on track with where your child is. So let's talk about toddlers, right? We're talking about toddlers. So a toddler is a child from the age of 1 to 3, around that range, right? Let's talk about what toddlers do, and then I want to just briefly discuss what they can't do. So let's talk about what toddlers do. Let's talk about why the term terrible twos even exists. Toddlers can sometimes hit, bite, kick, throw tantrums. They are very egocentric. Egocentric is the stage that they're in, and it really just means that everything is about them. And that's completely normal. Where their brains actually are, like literally this thing called the prefrontal cortex of their brain, it controls their decision making and their ability to control their self, which is called self-regulation. It's really, really underdeveloped. So although the behaviors that we see from toddlers can be just very hard to deal with, a lot of them are on point with where they should be just based in where they are developmentally, you know? But generally they rebel. They want complete independence. They want to handle things on their own. They want to feed themselves. Maybe they want to wipe their butt. Maybe they generally they don't ever want to go and come at the time that you want them to. Toddlers can be very difficult. But now let's flip the script and talk about what they can't do, because I think that's a little bit more of where the disconnect between adults and caregivers and the young toddlers exists. Toddlers don't possess, like I said, what's called a thing that's called self-regulation, which literally means their ability to control their self. It's a physical aspect as well. Moving around. They don't stop. They don't stop talking. They can't. They're not supposed to be able to yet. So they talk a lot. They move a lot. They cannot handle what's called wait time. So that is a challenge for adults that understand that. But this is just where you kind of can implement and roll in some strategies like singing songs. There are certain things you can do with children that draw their attention instantly. It's just about learning how to do those things and what they are. But one example is singing songs, finger plays, which is songs that involve them using their hands. That kind of feeds that part of them that needs to move. But they need a high level. Toddlers need a very high level of stimulation for the behaviors that we notice to be diminished. Toddlers also don't understand when you give them too many words. So when you just give directions to toddlers, try to make them 2 or 3 words. Garbage, please, if you need them to put something in the garbage. Or walking feet if they're running. Right? If you have a toddler, just a note, I really suggest baby proofing. I literally just had a conversation with someone who had this situation where their child was constantly opening their house door and literally running outside, literally. And I suggested to them a door clip. I just was like, have you looked into that? And they were able to get one and stop the behavior. That was causing them a lot of stress. So I just want to emphasize that baby proofing goes really far with helping some of the behaviors, some of the things that toddlers are going to do because of where they are. They're going to stick their fingers in outlets. They're going to pull down anything that you have up. So making sure your environment, prepping your environment for them is really crucial. So number three, guys, so important, is know the difference between discipline and punishment. And yes, there is a massive difference. They are two different things, right? So punishment focuses on what not to do, and then the discipline focuses on teaching what to do. So when you have punishment, there's generally a negative connotation around being punished. If a child is in punishment, they're usually not learning. So discipline involves guidance and redirection. Drum roll, please. And finally, point number four. In answering the question, how to discipline a toddler? The answer is something called positive discipline. Positive discipline. Guys, it works. It works. What is positive discipline? What am I talking about? Now, positive discipline is a method of disciplining children that uses encouragement and problem solving to get the best behavior out of the child. It is so helpful when you understand it. You have to understand it. You have to really get it to use it. But long term, the effects of positive discipline are really, really positive on young children that eventually turn into adults. They learn how to problem solve better. They just learn that they're affirmed. They believe that they're important. When positive discipline is used, you often see an extreme decrease in behavioral issues with young children. There's a laundry list of all the benefits of positive discipline. So let's dive into what that looks like. To me, one of the most powerful ways to understand positive discipline is to view it like this. Effective positive discipline is when the adult seeks to understand why the child's doing what they're doing and change the child's belief about why they're doing what they're doing rather than the behavior. So I cannot tell you how many scenarios I've been in as a teacher where children have done something. They have done something, and from the surface, it looks like they're just being bad, right? That's just the way our minds can work as adults. But 9 out of 10 children have a reason behind what they do. Of course, you have extenuating circumstances. You have situations where there's other things going on, but there are a lot of situations where children, they think very different than us, and then they present us with things, or rather, we become reactive to them when they do things, rather than taking the time to just understand why they've done it. 9 out of 10, they have a thought process. They have a reason for what they're doing. And often I really believe that us adults just need to be more patient and consider within positive discipline that there's a way that we need to be thinking. Also, another big ticket item, probably the biggest with positive discipline, is about your tone. A lot of adults scream, yell, lose their patience with young children. With positive discipline, you are having a firm tone. It doesn't mean that you're not being firm. It doesn't mean you're not telling the child what they should and shouldn't do. It doesn't mean you're not setting boundaries. What it does mean is that you are affirming them. It means that you're communicating with them about different things that may be happening. It means that you're giving them a chance to talk as well. It means that you are explaining. It means that you are repeating yourself. Now, I will say this, full disclaimer, it takes you changing a mindset. You actually need to alter the way that you think if you're going to choose to use positive discipline. But I'm an educator and a professional and a mother who believes strongly that positive discipline is the answer to this question. How you discipline a toddler is in the realm of positive discipline. You want to build up their self-esteem. You want them to grow up long-term trusting in their ability to solve problems. When you just totally shut someone down, when you say to them, because I said so, clean up, put this away, come here, go there, what you're really doing is in a way, parents believe that they are modifying the children's behavior by doing that. And it's not that in the moment you may not be doing that. You may see your children listening to you all the time, but 9 out of 10, there's not a lot of respect there. 9 out of 10, the relationship between a child and parent isn't strong. It's not built off mutual respect. That's a massive part of positive discipline. Mutual respect, right? When the child trusts you and believes that you have their best interest and need at hand, rather, that you're considering how they feel, they'll be way more likely to want to listen, to want to please you. You'll be probably dealing with a lot less of the typical toddler behaviors when you are coming into them and just affirming how they feel, when you are talking through what they're feeling, how they're feeling, why they've done what they've done, or why they don't want to do what it is you're telling them to do. So what I'm going to do next is dive into some real life examples and hopefully give a very clear picture of what positive discipline is and what it isn't, what it looks like and what it doesn't look like. When you're using positive discipline, your tone and your actual verbiage, what you're actually saying to the young children or young child, is extremely important. It makes the difference completely in it being effective or not. So I just wanted to offer a few terms for adults to consider when they're trying to use positive discipline with young children, right? So here are just some terms. I'm going to explain them. Let's say your child is just talking really loud. Children are loud. Let's say they're being super loud and you're trying to have a phone call. You're on the phone, right? Rather than saying what a lot of us would say, which is like, shh, be quiet, hush, or doing some form of intimidation, what you could say is, hey, whatever your kid's name is, catch a bubble. That's one of the terms. That's one main term that's used in schools. You can use it in your home. Catch a bubble. That's a kinder way of asking a child to be quiet, right? Another term or another thing that you can say, if let's say a child's doing too much running inside, rather than screaming to them, stop running, and threatening them, if you run one more time, you're going to be in timeout, or I'm going to beat you. Whatever it is you may or may not say to your children. But a more appropriate way to ask a child to walk rather than run would be to say walking feet. Just like that. You're not giving some long explanation for that. Listening ears. That's one of our rules in this house for Harmony. And that applies to everything. Anytime that she's not listening, for whatever that may look like, I ask her, I say, Harmony, are your ears on? Are they working? Turn them on. And she may be like, literally she goes, and it's actually really funny. But that's another terminology for positive discipline. Another one is remembering this. You see with your eyes, not with your hands. That's a very, very effective, that terminology can be very helpful and effective. Those are just some terms I wanted to offer to kind of set the mood as to what positive discipline looks like. Now I'm going to move into the examples and hopefully really paint the picture as to what positive discipline is. So positive discipline looks like affirming children's feelings. Here's an example. Cody and his mom are at the park. He's having a great time. Now it's time to go. His mom puts on a timer. Let's just say she says, in 5 minutes, it's time to go. The timer goes off. She says to him, all right, Cody, come on, it's time to go. He throws his body on the floor. He's screaming and crying, losing it. One of those full-blown tantrums. Let's just take it there. We all know what that looks like and how hard that is to handle. Punishment and negative discipline looks like grabbing the kid up. Some people may spank that kid. You may yell at them. You may say, I've heard and I've seen parents and adults say things like, you know what? This is why I can't take you to the park. We're not coming here again. Negative, negative, negative. That's not teaching or showing the child anything except that their feelings don't matter. The right way to handle a situation like that in the realm of positive discipline would be this. The parent going and getting down on that child's level. That's always helpful when you want to affirm a child's feelings. And just saying simply something like this. Cody, it seems like you're feeling very upset because it's time to go. I understand, right? Wasn't much said. It'd be placing your hand on the child's back or just having your hand on them. Lets them know that you're there, you're hearing them. Now, would you like to fly like a dinosaur with mommy to the car? I'll race you. Ready, set, go. More than likely, Cody's going to get up. He's going to put his big boy wings on and he's going to fly to the car with his mom. Why? Because she affirmed how he felt. She let him know that how he felt was important, that she cared, that he was upset. A lot of times we just dismiss the fact that children have feelings. There are these babies that come here, they're born, and we see them as innocent then, but by the time they can talk and walk, we're calling them terrible and they're terrible twos. And I get it, it's really hard. The behaviors can be very hard to manage. But I personally believe a big part of why the behaviors are hard to manage is because we're not managing them right as the adults. We don't understand how to speak the language of children, which generally is play. So in that example with Cody, the mom affirmed how he felt. She just simply said, "You seem upset. I understand." And then she offered a fun way for them to get to the car without him still falling out. Disclaimer, not every situation works for every child. And yes, you would need to be creative and think on your feet. But what I'm expressing and saying is that long term, that's more healthy for the child's development. They feel heard, they feel validated and important. So affirm your child or children's feelings. Positive discipline looks like providing children with choices. Now, if you are geared towards being an authoritarian kind of a parent, if we go back, that's the one who's like, it's what I say, when I say, no negotiating, I don't want to talk about it. You can choose that route. You may feel like providing choices for a toddler is silly, or you're the adult, you shouldn't have to do that. I just want to offer and say that it could be really beneficial to open your mind to just trying something different. So in the realm of providing choices, I'm going to give an example as to what I mean and then why I did this. The other day, I needed Harmony to wash her hands before she had her snack when we came in from outside play. So I said to her, "Harmony, it's time to wash your hands." And she looked at me and she said, "No." Of course, my daughter, of course it's not pleasant, and I don't want to, have her telling me no when I'm asking her to do things, right? But I have a choice to make in that moment. I can choose to have a power play, which is often a lot of the reason why parents and caregivers have issues with children. We can have this power play back and forth where I said do this, you're not doing it. Now we're in a confrontation. So this is what I did. I said, "Harmony, you can either wash your hands at the sink, mommy can pick you up, or you can use a wipe. It's up to you, you choose." I want to reiterate the verbiage that I used. It's up to you, you choose. Toddlers are in this stage, remember, it's called egocentric. It's a literal terminology for the scientific stage and development of their brain. Everything is about them. Bigger picture, they want to control their life. It's not them being bad. They just want to say in their reality. It's them exploring their boundaries. So by offering choices, sometimes you can completely eliminate just a massive breakdown, a meltdown, a power play. I suggest providing choices. And then the thing is, as the adult, the choices that you provide, you're making them up. So you are still in control, but you are just now, you're shifting how you handle the child, and you're handling them in a developmentally appropriate way for them. So consider in any and every situation where a child is challenging you back, they're saying no, they don't want to come with you, they don't want to do this, they don't want to do that. Provide two choices. Provide two choices. They may not always choose one, and you may have to pull another trick out of the bag. Remember, no one thing works for every child. But what I'm saying is, positive discipline is more about a mindset. It's about a mindset of helping them. They need help emotionally at this stage. They're completely unregulated. They're wild human beings who don't have any control over themselves, and they're just fighting to figure out their place in this world. So I'm just saying that the way that we help them long term, when it comes to positive discipline, is being firm, setting boundaries, but still respecting them, respecting young children, respecting that they have desires as well. Sometimes you should just take a step back, be less reactive, and consider how can you get the goal, what you need or want from them, without triggering them to have an explosive emotional reaction. Your goal should always be to guide them, and inevitably to teach them. Sometimes certain things are just a matter of modeling. Sometimes us adults can be very frustrated with children for using things incorrectly, but there's always room and space to model the right way, you know? If a child is just learning how to use, in this toddler phase, how to use a fork and they're doing it wrong, showing them rather than being impatient. And I think that can apply for literally anything. Modeling is a huge way of using positive discipline as well. Positive discipline looks like providing what's called replacement behaviors. Replacement behaviors, replacement behaviors. What are some behaviors that toddlers participate in that are difficult for us adults? Let's just run through a laundry list of things. They can spit, kick, hit. In extreme situations, sometimes toddlers are cursing. There's a lot of different things that toddlers can do that the way to get through to them using positive discipline could be using what's called a replacement behavior. So here's an example. Little Johnny has a ball in his house and he is just throwing it against the wall, right? And his mom, his parents, they're so angry. They're telling him, stop it. We told you to stop. Just continuing to throw the ball. So of course that's something that's dangerous. He can break a window. You could choose punishment, which would be whatever that looks like for you, something negative. What positive discipline looks like with something like that would be the parent being patient, the caregiver being patient, taking a second to think about how you can, I know this may sound funny, but hear me out, how you can allow the child to get that expression out, to do what it is that they want to do in an appropriate way for you. That's actually one of the best ways I think I've ever put it. Replacement behaviors, the point of replacement behaviors are to provide the child with what they need to help them do what it is that they would like to do, what they need to do in an appropriate way for the parent. So that child's throwing that ball, potentially going to break a window. What that would look like would be the parent in a calm tone and voice saying firmly, balls are not for throwing in the house, but you may roll the ball, right? Allow the child to do something else with the ball. That kid is adamant that they have got to throw, right? They're looking for you to challenge them. So when you don't, it's like you recalibrate their little brains. When you choose to not tell them that what they're doing, they can't do. So like, this may sound really silly, but that boy is throwing a ball, throwing. And if you say to him, hey, Timmy, balls are not for throwing in the house, but you can throw this cotton ball. This ball you can throw. I know that sounds so silly, but I'm just thinking off the top because that's how you have to think when you're using positive discipline. You got to be creative in the moment. Providing replacement behaviors is an amazing strategy to use in the realm of positive discipline. You just have to be creative and remember, this is what the adult is saying. You may not, because as the adult, remember, you want to be firm, you do want to set boundaries and rules, but you're coming into them. So you're going to also say, but you may. So just keep that in mind in the realm of positive discipline. You may not, but you may. You may not, but you may. Positive discipline requires a lot of repetition. You're going to be repeating yourself a lot and often, and that's just what it is to have a toddler in this age range. Something that can be helpful to use with positive discipline is a reward system. So the way that reward systems work, when you're talking about positive discipline, is that you're focusing only on the positive, right? So I'm going to show you what Will and I have for Harmony. She just has something called Harmony's Jar, and it's in correlation with her rules. So reward systems and positive discipline, they work together very well. This is what we're currently using for Harmony. This is called Harmony's Jar. Now, this is just ordered right off of Amazon, right? Hey! It's a plastic jar. You probably hear her saying, hey, right now. On it, we taped our house rules. So this is a picture of the house rules that we have. And this is just called Harmony's Jar, right? These are Harmony's coins. Like I said, I ordered this off of Amazon. So this is just a helpful, this is our reward system. And it helps us in the realm of positive discipline. So this is how it works. And if you see the top there, you just put the coins in. The way that this system works, And the way that we're using this is through positive discipline, meaning Harmony will receive and or be able to put one of these coins in her jar when we see her doing things that she should be doing. So it's all about the positive reinforcement, right? So even in behaviors that we're not liking, for example, she has this thing with putting things in her mouth. So we've been working on that every which way. We've read and created a social story. So the way that positive discipline works would be times where I'm noticing her only eating, like only putting things that she should be putting in her mouth. That could be a teachable moment, right? Where I can be like, wow, Harmony, I'm noticing all day today you have kept things out of your mouth. Like rather, you've only put food in your mouth. Go give yourself go give Harmony's jar a coin. You know what I mean? Giving her access to that. So that's one area. One thing that positive discipline and reward systems are not is negative. So let's just say you're doing something like a sticker chart, right? And when your child's doing the right thing, you're beefing them up with positive reinforcement by giving them that sticker when they're doing things that you would like. Where negative enforcement comes in and what you're not going to do, what you never are supposed to do when you're using positive discipline is taking away. So let's just say Harmony did something outrageous, whatever it was, something that I didn't like. And if me or Will were to say, since you did that, we're taking away a coin. What that says to her is that everything that she has earned, all of the coins that she has earned for her good behavior don't mean anything. All the positive that she's done gets negated by the negative. That's not what you want to teach. That's not what positive discipline pushes. Same thing with sticker charts. If you're taking stickers off, you're teaching the child what? Something negative, that they're being punished. It just falls in alignment with punishment. So I just wanted to share that this is our current reward system. We just started it. Harm has a few coins here, and like I said, this is in correlation with our rules, our house rules. I just put them on here for her to see. I keep this out of her. This is not like for her to play with, so we keep this up high. The only time she interacts is when she's allowed to put a coin, and you should see the behavioral difference. It's huge incentive for her to do the right thing, for us to be able to work along with her. So my goal is that you have a different and deeper understanding of positive discipline, and you know that is the answer to this question: how to discipline a toddler. Use positive discipline. Research it on your own, get more examples, and try it out. I would love for you to comment. I would love for you to reach out to me and let me know how this works for you. Let me know if you have questions or just exact scenarios where you're seeing a certain behavior, something's happening, and maybe you're not sure what positive discipline looks like in that area. I want to talk to you guys. I want to help. I want to interact. I want to know your opinions. So thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate it. As always, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next Monday. Take care.